And once you have this repository installed, then as you see, you have two folders here. Let me demonstrate some concepts of Ansible here. Ansible is list of plays present in a playbook. Okay, so the playbooks are nothing but a set of instructions that will be carried out. So a playbook which is in the playbook folder will execute the plays. So each statement here is a play. So these are the instructions, the list of instructions. This you can think of, these are list of instructions, multiple list, and one list can call import playbook, can call another list as well. So this is my master playbook infra complete, which is calling other playbooks, and each independent playbook is having set of instruction. We'll go through it how this works. But first, you understood what is playbooks roughly in this structure. And then we have inventories. Inventories is key concept in Ansible, where we declare two things mainly. First is the host. Host is when this Ansible playbook runs, which environment does it trigger to? Okay, so the Ansible host is my current host, that is my local host 127.0.0.1, which is my local host. Okay, so all the plays that will be executing, those will be executing in my current machine, in my local machine, and that is what I want. I want to utilize the tools those I have installed in my local machine, the tools like AZ CLI that I have installed in this. So I'll be running all those playbooks from this particular machine. Only thing that will change when we are utilizing a CI/CD pipeline is instead of my current machine, it will be an agent that is deployed maybe in Jenkins, maybe in Kubernetes, whichever is my orchestration engine. The second part of the inventory is the variables. So these are few variables that I'll be utilizing. Mainly it is stage is dev. Okay, if you recall earlier, I've said that Ansible is utilized for multi-environment setup, right? So here this is multi-environment setup where you see dev, prod, SIT, UAT, and all the environments will have similar setup. Right now I haven't created for prod, UAT, and this will be doing this together later, or still it will be the same format. You'll have a host always, and you will have a group variables, and in that all file where you will define few variables. Okay, so this is my inventory. Then we have roles. Okay, so roles is in Ansible, a role is again a set of plays that we want to execute multiple times. Let's consider you have to create a resource group, okay, or you have to create a particular log workspace. So what do you need to create a log workspace? First, you need to have a resource group, and you need to have subscription. You need to do login. There are multiple steps, okay, and combination of those plays are independent, and you can separate it out to call it, this is a role. This is a role to create a log workspace. This is a role to create a AKS. This is a role to create a resource group. So every logically independent set of plays, we call it a role. Okay, so right now here you see the roles are empty, but guess what? We already have another folder here which is global roles. This is a concept where I am extracting all the roles from this particular project, which is 01 AKS create. I'm not keeping the roles in this particular project. I could have kept all these roles in this role folder, and that would work exactly same as it is working outside. Or I would say, because I extracted these rules outside, we need to do few configurations to make sure this project will understand that the roles are kept outside its current folder. We'll see those configurations, but let's first understand the entire project structure. Okay, so we have the roles here. You can keep the roles later here. I'll show you how to do it. And then we have the tasks. I told you already, roles are the independent logical set of plays. Similarly, we have task. Task can be a simple task. Maybe I want to start a VM, I want to stop a VM, I want to list the VMs. These are the basic tasks which are simpler to call it a role, or maybe you can call it a role and move it to role if you feel so. It's totally our judgment whether to call it a role or to call it a task. Okay, eventually these are just the group of plays that we are calling either a playbook, either a role, or a task. It's a judgment. As a DevOps person, you need to take this decision. Whatever you wish to do, where would you keep it? Then important thing is variables. Just like the inventory, we have dev, prod, sit, uat. I have variables. These variables are a bit special. These variables are particular to Azure resources, whereas in inventory it was related variables for the Ansible project. It was not related to the Azure project, to say so. Okay, so in variables you see there is dev, prod, sit, uat, and whatsoever is the format of dev, you should have the replicated format in UAT, SRT, prod, and you can have as many as environment as you want. Okay. But you should again see one more important file, which is global main variable. So what I'm doing, the logical thinking of creating this structure is I want to segregate environment specific variables and global variables. So when I'm saying the global variable is common for all the variables. Here I'm showcasing a tenant ID. A tenant ID is nothing but the ID of the Azure Active Directory, which is now called Microsoft Entra ID. So if you see the tenant ID here, so this is my ID, which starts with 4A and it ends with EE4. Okay, which starts with 4A and ends with EE4. Perfect. So this is common for all the environments that I'll be having. Hence, I kept it as the global variable. Now let's go for the dev, which is environment specific variable, which I call regional variables. Let's go through the structure. I'm keeping the subscription ID here, location where I wish to install a particular resource. Right now, just roughly understand. Okay, I have these variables. Where we'll be using this, we'll go through it when we understand the playbooks and the roles. Okay, right now just let's see what we have in this particular project structure. We have the regional variables where we have the subscription ID. Subscription ID is nothing but my subscription pay as you go, and this particular ID which start with B3. Okay, sorry, let me go back. My subscription, and yeah, you see the B63 one. Okay, I want to install all my resources further when I run this playbook in the East US region. I've given the region number. Region number is my logical understanding. If at all in a particular location I will have multiple regions or multiple instances, then I'll segregate those using the region number. Like if I have a name of a resource group that is AKS create or application CasaCloud, I'll say CasaCloud -01. Maybe tomorrow I want to create another instance of CasaCloud project, then I'll just replace that to 2. When just by replacing one number, I'll be just rerunning the playbook and it will create entire set of new resources with the end of all resources name with 02. Okay, so that's the region number. It's my only logical understanding. If you don't want to have it, you can carve out later the way you want to keep your naming convention. Then ID is D1. This is just a ID that I have kept. I'll tell you later what this ID is for. Then we have the tags. Tags, every resource you attach few tags. so that later if you want to segregate resources with respect to tags for costing purposes or analysis purposes, the tags are utilized. Then I have the identities. SPN. Identities can be different type of identities. There can be service principal, there can be UAMIs, user identities. Here I'm only using a SPN, that is service principal identity. This is the application name. If you want to have an automation identity, there can be a user identity or there can be an automation identity. So you need to create an application in Microsoft Entra. We'll just see after this only, we'll see how do we do it. So that's the application name, and once you create the application, eventually you will get the application ID. This is important, and you need to replace your own ID here when you download this particular repository. You make sure that you replace this particular identity. I'll show you when to replace it. We'll just create that. Okay, then there is a certificate name. What certificate name? I'll in the later steps now we'll be creating that certificate. Then we start with the resources. So as I told you, we'll be creating few resources. First resource is the resource group. Resource group contains all other resources. So first we need to create resource group. Resource group _1. The name is resource group 4. Next we are creating VNet. Okay, so my VNet is with the address prefix 192.168.0.0/16. So this is my address prefix, and my name is regional variable.id. So when I say ID, regional variable.id, okay, it will replace with D1 -vnet02, then regional variable -location, that is east 02 -east US2 -regional variable, that region number, that is 01. So that will be the name of my resource group. Address prefix. What is address prefix? Out of this address prefix we need to create the subnets later. The detailed video for how to understand this address prefix, how to create subnets out of this address prefix, I've already created a in-depth video. Make sure you go through that video. I'll just keep the link in the description for you, and maybe an I button above so that you can refer it. Okay, so this is my VNet. This is my subnet variables, where the subnet I need to give the group name is this. My tags, my settings include the VNet name and the subnets. The subnets I am creating 3 subnets: subnet 01, 02 and 03, and these are the subnet prefix. Out of /16 address prefix, I'm creating /17, /18 and /18. Okay, please go through that video. You'll get to know how this is segregated and how do we calculate these subnets. And then I have the AKS with the name AKS1 admin group object ID. We'll go through this, node count and this. Then I have the log workspace, where I'm just giving the log workspace, monitoring workspace name. Grafana just ignore for now. This is for I'll create a separate video for Grafana and Prometheus for you. Okay, so this is my dev variable. Okay, same will be doing for production, for SIT and for UAT. And when we run our playbook, we tell which particular inventory, that is dev, we are utilizing and which particular variables that we are utilizing. Okay, this is how we achieve this. Okay, so this is my variable, and then the important part is ansible.cfg. Okay, this is the configuration file of this Ansible project, and here we tell Ansible where are the roles present. I told you we are not keeping the roles inside the roles folder, but these are the global roles. My logical thinking out of this part is I'll be creating multiple projects after this for you to understand the complex things related to AKS and other Azure resources. So I'll be keeping these global roles intact. I'll be just adding new roles into it, and I'll just replace the role path in each of the project. That way I'm not duplicating the roles. I'm keeping the roles common here. Okay, so the roles, how the roles are set up, dot roles, that is the current roles. I don't have any roles here, but then the base path can be calculated by setup.sh. So I'll be utilizing this setup.sh and I'll be doing ls. I'm in the right location. I've already downloaded or cloned this repository. Now I'll do source and then setup.sh ls cd 01 ls clear ls. Okay, here we have the setup.sh. So I'll do source setup.sh. What it will do, it will store or export the base path. What is the base path right now? It is the path of my global roles. If I do copy path, you will see the path here, and this is the path I've kept. Okay, this will be different for you from your own local machine. You need to make sure you replace the right path where you download this particular repository. You make sure you set till global resource. Okay, so that way you get your base path, this, and let's go back to this. So that way I'm setting up the roles which are separated by colon. So after colon we are giving multiple paths. So I'm giving path for each main core compute container, and I've segregated the roles inside these directories. Okay, these are the logical separations. Again, if you ask me like why these many folders here, so Azure has many resources, right? To segregate those resources we need to have some kind of logical separation, otherwise the list of roles will be huge. So there can be networking resources, there can be compute resources, it can be container resources, there can be some core resources. Okay, so this is again the logical separation. You need to understand this is planned. This is not a POC. This kind of format you can take up for your production. Okay, and it will certainly work because this is the multi-environment set for Ansible project. Okay, so that way now I'm making sure that I have all the roles already pulled, and my Ansible project will be able to read those variables. Okay, and host key check false is if at all I want to connect to any other VM, which we are not doing right now through this Ansible project. So this is my project. Okay, and now you understood the inventory is playbooks, roles, task, variable,